Preparing for what could be the GTA's biggest snowstorm of the season so far. We have extensive coverage of the messy conditions, the sloppy drive, and how the city is getting ready for this latest blast of wintry weather.
Well, upwards of 15 centimeters of snow could hit the city. Environment Canada has issued a snowfall warning for Toronto and beyond. An official saying staying home tonight might not be a bad idea.
And totals could pile up to as much as 25 centimeters at the airport. Pearson tells us over 120 flights have already been canceled.
This is Live at 5. Good evening. I'm Bakari Savage.
And I'm Lena Latafat. Thank you for joining us here on Live at 5. We begin with the wintry weather tonight. The storm is being billed as the biggest of the season so far, and we could be left with 15 centimeters of snow or more before it ends tomorrow.
Here's a live look at the evening rush hour. This as the storm gradually picks up in intensity. The snow is expected to become heavy at times this evening and could be mixed with ice pellets late this evening or overnight.
And for a closer look at how these conditions are impacting the evening commute, we turn to OPP Sergeant Carrie Schmidt. Thank you for joining us tonight. Sergeant, where are you and what are you seeing?
Yeah, well, the snow is coming down now. Highway 400 right now, just north of the city at the en route. And the snow is blowing. Traffic was moving pretty slowly before. It's starting to move a little bit right now, but of course it's going to be in waves. And there's a lot of people trying to get out and trying to get home before this system really sets in. But this is that real critical time when you go from dry roads, that first little bit of snow and ice that can catch a lot of drivers by surprise, and they don't realize the roads are getting slick out there.
All right, Sergeant Schmidt, look, just a few days ago, we were talking about the situation in Aurelia. How can we avoid something like that this go around?
Well, again, you can go from blue sky to whiteout conditions in a matter of seconds. This is pretty big system snow, and I was just looking at the radar, and it does look like it's going to have some waves. It's going to have some real intense periods and then some less intense periods and then back and forth. And so you may think you're out of the woods and you start picking up the speed and you drive right into a wall of snow again. So as the sun goes down, turn on your full headlighting system. You got to make sure your washer fluid is topped up, and come tomorrow, obviously, brush off your vehicle of snow and ice before you head out, and you're going to wait, obviously, until the system is passed and the plows have gone through and cleared the roads. We just don't want to see people out there, putting themselves in jeopardy, slowing down the snow clearing operations. And again, when the worst scenario comes forward and you're involved in a collision someplace, stay inside the safety cage of your vehicle. Keep your headlights on, keep your lights flashing if it's safe to do so, obviously, and keep your ignition running and call 911 if you're blocking lanes. But again, if your vehicle is at all movable, get off the highway, get to a safe location. We don't want to see people putting themselves in harm's way to take pictures of their vehicle with other vehicles, on a live lane when there's other traffic going by, especially in these conditions.
Yeah, this is a tricky system for sure. In some areas could be seeing upwards of 25 centimeters of snow. That's significant. Would you rather just see people home tonight?
100%. Non-essential travel. If you don't need to be out here, please stay home. I was up in Aurelia, north of Barrie, and up through cottage country over the last couple of days, and the kinds of snowbanks that they have up there is incredible. And it doesn't take much for snow to really paralyze the city and the highways here through the GTA and through the greater region where you're going to be traveling to. So again, this is the time to stay home. I know many schools have already been canceled. And if you're working from home, tomorrow is going to be the perfect day. And if you don't normally work from home, maybe tomorrow would be a good day to try that out for a start and make that your option. Because again, the fewer people on the roads, it's going to be safer for everyone. We have officers ready to respond as needed. First responders, EMS, paramedics, fire, and all the road maintenance contractors. They're out there ready to roll. The salt trucks are ready. The plows are ready. They just need the highways to be clear of vehicles so they can actually get that snow moved off and wait for the system to be gone, and then we'll get traffic moving again for everybody else.
Hey, Sergeant Schmidt, before we let you go, you mentioned what to do in the event of a crash. You're traveling in a rural area, you get stuck. What are some best practices while trying to wait for a tow truck if you can?
Well, again, if you're stuck, for sure, that's one thing. Sometimes people get stuck in some snow, just in a snow bank or maybe a windrow after a plow came through. Learn where your traction control is on your vehicle. A lot of people don't know what that does, but when you start spinning out and can't get through some snow, turn that off, and that'll get your tires spinning. That's one thing you can do. Obviously, keep your vehicle clear of ice and snow. Keep that washer fluid topped up. Brush off your vehicle before you get going. But it's common sense. And it's drivers driving to the conditions, and that means slowing down, giving yourself space. We see over and over, time and time again, vehicles sliding off the on ramps and off ramps, bumping into traffic ahead of them because they're following too close. So give yourself that distance. Distance gives you time. Time is your friend, and time will allow you to adjust your speed, change your lanes, or even come to a stop because you don't realize how slippery that roadway surface is until you hit the brakes for the first time. And if you're braking because you need to avoid a collision, this might be a bad time to realize that you're now trying to stop on ice.
Okay, OPP Sergeant Kerry Schmidt, thanks so much for this update. We certainly appreciate it. Stay safe out there.
Thanks a lot.
So the OPP are ready for this. The city of Toronto also says it is ready for this, ready for crews to respond to the storm as it's happening and with the cleanup afterwards.
Okay, for this, let's check in with CP24's Beatrice Vaisman, who's live with the latest from a downtown work site. Beatrice.
But Carolina, crews, they know what to do, and now they are preparing to get it done. We're here outside of the Wellington salt yards. The lights have now come on these plows, and I'm seeing more and more workers arriving. And pretty soon, and probably just a matter of half an hour or so, crews are going to be making their way out of here. These salt trucks in the yard also. Their bins are full of salt, and you can see here on Wellington the snow already starting to stick onto the roads. So this is only the beginning of what's going to be a very slippery, a very slick, a very wintry commute home, Bakari and Lena. Certainly crews, they know what to do. They've been out de-icing and salting in preparation. And then once the snow actually has some accumulation, more than this, on the major expressways of Gardiner and the DVP, that's going to be priority number one for plowing. Priority number two is going to be the major arteries, the Yonge Streets, the University Avenues, the Kings, the Queens, the so on. And then unfortunately, and I know this is often a gripe of a lot of people, that their residential or side streets gets plowed last. That's how it goes. Pack your patience. Crews will get to you. It's just going to take a matter of hours. And in fact, city crew is saying it's not just going to be one round of plowing, not just 2 rounds of plowing, but probably 3 rounds of plowing by the time this is all said and done to get these 25 centimeters of snow or so off of the roadways and get them safe. Here's what we heard from city crews earlier today.
This is a designated snow route sign, and it's on arterials that are currently designated snow routes. And the reason I wanted to share it with everyone this morning is because these are up and are always up. And so you need to pay attention if you go to park your car later this afternoon or this evening, that there's not one of these signs on the route, because this is the location where we would designate the major snow route and where we would be enforcing that after 10 p.m. tonight.
As a result of the fact that we will be getting quite considerable amount of snow, multiple rounds will be activated, which means you will see the equipment across the city throughout the evening, into the early morning, into Thursday, and into Friday. Okay, so it's going to take at least three rounds, if not more, to service all of the locations.
And it's already a bit of a snowy mess out here, and it's changed quite quickly. I mean, the last half hour I was talking to Arda, it didn't look like this, and that's because it's 2 to 4 centimeters, according to the experts, is how much is going to come down per hour. So just a heads up, if you've got to be out and about today, this is just the beginning of what you'll be out and about in the midst of. Also, you talked about the city declaring a winter storm condition. What does that mean? Snow routes across the city. For example, one of them, Bathurst and Front Street, they have designated signs. You cannot park your car there. As of 10 o'clock tonight, city crews need full access to plow. If you're parked there, you will get towed. So do not park there. Give city crews the time, the space, the ability to keep the city clean, to keep it safe. And we're watching here, snowplow watch at Wellington Yard as well. Back to you.
All right, CP24's Beatrice Vaisman. Thanks a lot. Well, it is expected to be a challenging night on the roads because of the snow.
And CP24's Sija Liu is keeping an eye on the impact so far on the evening commute. What are you seeing, Sija?
Hi, Lena and Bakari. Well, things are changing very quickly here for your evening commute. About half an hour ago, the snow just started coming down. It was very light. The roads were still clear. But right now, snow coming down quite heavily and the roads already covered with snow. I'm standing here on Avenue Road, just south of St. Clair. This spot here, as you can see, is a hill. It's one of these tricky areas where when it starts to snow, when there is freezing rain, it's an area where buses and cars are prone to get stuck. So make sure if you are heading out on the roads today, just be extra careful and take some extra time. But the TTC says they are prepared for the snow and have already taken the measures. For example, there was supposed to be an early scheduled closure for track work on Line 1 between Bloor Yonge and Osgood stations. That has since been canceled, so crews can focus on the snowstorm. So that means subway will be running until 2 a.m. instead of the early closure that was scheduled for 11 o'clock. Extra TTC staff and maintenance vehicles are already on the roads, spreading salt, clearing services, and making sure that all signals and switches are operating, and just standing by for anything else that can come from the snowstorm today. They're also spraying anti-icing over the entire streetcar overhead network and also running trains overnight so that snow doesn't build up over the train tracks. Earlier today, we spoke with the TTC spokesperson to see how they will handle this storm. Take a listen.
So tonight's early subway closure on Line 1 is canceled, and we're running regular train service on all lines, on lines 1, 2, and 4. And with the cancellation of tonight's early subway closure, we're redeploying all the extra staff and the buses that we're using as shuttle buses, and we'll be adding those buses to the local bus routes that will be impacted by the significant snowstorm. And the extra staff will be redeployed at our stations to make sure that entrances and platforms are clear of snow, and Wheel-Trans will continue to provide service. However, customers will expect delays and will need additional travel times.
The TTC says there are 56 subways and bus stops that they are monitoring that are typically trouble spots when it comes to snowstorms. So anyone heading out to those bus stops, if you scan the QR code, it will let you know if that stop is still in service and what the delays are. As of right now, there are no major delays that are related to just the weather, but things might change as the snow begins to pick up more so into the evening. Lena, Bakari?
Okay, Sija Liu braving the conditions tonight. Thanks for this, Sija. CP24's Phil Perkins is in Scarborough this evening for us, checking in on how residents have been preparing for this storms. Phil, what are you hearing?
Lena, Bakari, am I braving the conditions too? Me and Kyle, are we all braving? We're all braving these conditions.
We're all braving it together.
I think so.
You guys are.
We're braving it in our own ways. Yeah, I'm doing it. I'm trying. You know, I'm talking to a good amount of people here at the gas station just south of Scarborough Town Center. And to be honest, people are kind of excited for this snowstorm, getting between 20 to 25 centimeters of snow over the next 12 hours or so. People here at the gas station filling up obviously on gas. The last thing you want to do is being caught stranded while driving through this meth potentially overnight, and also filling up on washer fluid. As someone who commuted from Toronto to Hamilton for a decade, all year long, you do not want to be caught on the highway with no washer fluid, because with all that de-icing fluid on it, it gunks up your windshield in just a matter of seconds. So talk to a couple people here, how they're approaching the snowstorm and how they're going to approach tomorrow and going to work. Here's what they had to say.
Stay at home. That's a better way. Yeah. So tomorrow need to be work, but hopefully the city will shove the snow quickly, so we can go to on the traffic will be on time and then get to the job on time.
You think you can get to work tomorrow?
I think so, but I wish they are not. But look like right now it's already snow. Will be worse.
How are you getting ready for the snow?
Well, just doing the best we could.
Are you gonna stay home tomorrow? You got to go to work no matter what.
Gotta stay home with
Yeah?
the family, yeah. Have a snow day. Yeah.
Do you have kids?
Yes,
Do you think school's gonna be canceled tomorrow?
they should.
Yeah.
They should cancel school.
Yeah, talking about school potentially being closed tomorrow. We'll see if that happens. We'll find out tomorrow, probably around 6 a.m. or so. If that does happen, Mother Nature definitely is a kid in junior kindergarten, because if that happens, plus a family day on Monday and Friday is no school, that's a 5-day weekend for these kids if schools are closed tomorrow due to the snow. We also spoke to another gentleman here who says he works all year for these moments. He says he plays badminton in the summer, he stays in shape, he gardens just so he can shovel up to 25 centimeters of snow. He can't wait till tomorrow. Definitely one way to look at it, you two. Back to you guys.
Wow, some people are excited for this. Good to know. Phil, thank you. Well, TTC riders are dealing with more than just the weather. There is currently no subway service on a stretch of Line 2 in the East End.
Yeah, there's no train service between Broadview and Woodbine because of an injury on the tracks. Shuttle buses are running between Broadview and Woodbine, but significant delays are reported. As an alternative, customers can take GO Transit services on a TTC fare to and from GO stations within city limits.
Well, TDSB spokesperson Sherry Schwartz-Malt says the board will not make a decision about whether to close schools and cancel classes until tomorrow morning.
I'm sure there's a lot of kids tonight anxiously awaiting, maybe not sleeping and hoping. But the truth is they're not going to know until the morning, like early morning. So we will make a decision very early in the morning, probably about between 5:30 and 6 o'clock in the morning. And that's a decision that comes from the director's office. And as soon as we know, we will post on all our social media, post on the website, and let everybody know what the decision is.
And all in-person continuing education courses for after school and this evening, they've been canceled. All permits at schools after 6 this evening have also been canceled.
And you can also watch CP24 Breakfast for the latest updates. Well, the significant snowfall is causing cancellations at Pearson Airport.
The impact so far is greater on arrivals than departures. Pearson tells CP24, as of 4:30, over 120 flights coming in and out of the airport were canceled. A number of them have been delayed. Passengers are being reminded, as always, check ahead of your flight status before heading to the airport.
We're going to be out as soon as that snow starts falling, making sure that the taxiways, the runways, the aprons are as clear as possible to get those planes going. But ultimately, safety is the number one priority here at the airport. And we're going to make sure that the airfield is as clean as possible for those planes to depart.
And for the latest on this snowstorm, head to CP24.com.
Right now it's 5:17, 7 below zero. This is Live at 5.
Coming up, we'll take a look at a new report that shows a significant drop in auto theft. Stay with us.
And we continue to keep an eye on the evening commute. The GTA is under a snowfall warning. The snow, it's already falling.
A fire ripped through an Oshawa home early today, the same house where a woman was found murdered in November.
Chopper 24 was over the scene. This is on Eulalie Avenue near Huron Street. The fire burned through the roof of the home. Police say that no one was in the house when this morning's fire happened. The investigation is ongoing.
And this is the same home where a 48-year-old woman was found dead in November. Her husband was taken into custody and charged with second-degree murder.
A new report shows there was a significant drop in auto theft in Canada last year.
Now, this is encouraging. The number of private passenger vehicles that were stolen fell by almost 19%, according to Equite Association. The insurance watchdog says more than 57,000 vehicles were stolen in 2024. That is down from more than 70,000 the previous year. The report gives much of the credit to the federal government's National Auto Theft Action Plan, but it is urging Ottawa to move on promised updates to anti-theft regulations.
Well, right now it is 5:20, 7 below, but feeling more like 14 below outside. This is Live at 5.
Coming up after the break, we'll tell you more about this. Canada's premiers, they're in Washington today as part of a united effort to convince Donald Trump to drop his tariffs.
And throughout the evening, we continue to keep an eye on the commute. The GTA is under a snowfall warning. The snow, as you can see, it's coming down.
Canada's premiers are meeting as a group at the White House this afternoon. This is part of a joint mission to convince U.S. President Donald Trump to drop his tariff threats for good.
The premiers are also meeting with lawmakers, business groups, and lobbyists in a joint effort to push back on Trump's plans for devastating duties. It's the first time all 13 premiers have traveled to the American capital together. Premier Doug Ford, chair of the Council of the Federation, continues to drive home the message that tariffs would hurt both the American and Canadian economies.
Nothing's more important than Canadian sovereignty. We're a strong, proud country. What they don't realize how resilient Canadians are, and we take pride in being Canadian. That doesn't mean that we can't have an incredible trade relationship with our closest ally and friend. And if you talk to the American people, again, they love Canadians. Canadians love Americans. We're so interconnected on supply chains and everything else. And even on the culture, we're connected.
And Federal Finance Minister Dominic LeBlanc, also in Washington, he spoke to reporters after a meeting with U.S. Secretary of Commerce nominee Howard Lutnick.
I think it was a very constructive and positive conversation. Howard Lutnick was there. The National Economic Advisor to President Trump was also there. We started the conversation by discussing our shared priorities around border security and the fight against fentanyl. We took stock of the good work that has been done around illegal migration. We spoke about the appointment of our fentanyl czar, who will be in Washington in a few days. So we believe that the national security interest around border integrity and the common fight against fentanyl is in a positive lane.
Prime Minister Justin Trudeau spoke to reporters in Brussels this morning and commented on the ongoing tariff threats from U.S. President Trump.
The fact, for example, that we're talking about potential job losses in the U.S. Based on these tariffs on steel and aluminum is not mere speculation. We know that that will happen because that's exactly what happened last time tariffs were brought in on steel and aluminum in 2018. There were job losses in the United States. 75,000 fewer jobs in the U.S. because of tariffs they brought in on steel and aluminum, and those tariffs were even lower than the ones they're contemplating bringing in right now.
On Monday, Trump signed executive orders to impose 25% tariffs on all steel and aluminum imports into the U.S., including Canadian products starting March 12th.
Right now it's 5:26, holding at 7 below zero. This is Live at 5.
Canada will take on Sweden in round-robin action at the Four Nations Face-Off. We're going to preview that tournament next.
In Montreal, Team Canada is gearing up for the inaugural Four Nations Face-Off tournament. And the lone Maple Leaf on the squad says that he's looking forward to puck drop.
Really excited. Should be a lot of fun to get after it. I mean, it's trying to just get used to the practice and everything like that, and your alignment as quick as possible. But I think when a game happens, your just instincts hit, and everything just kind of goes into the natural state.
Round-robin play begins tonight with a matchup between Canada and Sweden. Richmond Hill's Jordan Binnington will get the start in net for Game 1. Canada plays the U.S. on Saturday.
I just think it's team, it's, playing together as a group and, talking about that structure a little bit. That's something that, it's got to get better with really every period. You got to find ways to improve and get better. But I think it's just playing as a group, right from the goalie out. So, whether it's offensively or defensively, doing all the little things that add up to winning. But, when I think of Team Canada and different teams over the years, I think of, that ability to play as a group.
Well, here's what the 4 teams from Canada, Finland, Sweden, and the U.S. will be playing for. The NHL revealed the trophy for the tournament yesterday. The winners will also receive gold medals. The championship game is February 20th.
You're watching Live at 5 on Toronto's breaking news, CP24.
We will continue to keep an eye on the evening commute. The GTA is under a snowfall warning. And as you can see, the snow, it's already coming down. Stay safe out there if you have to venture out. Preparing for what could be the GTA's biggest snowstorm of the season so far. We have extensive coverage of the messy conditions, the sloppy drive, and how the city's taking on this latest blast of wintry weather.
And upwards of 15 centimeters of snowfall could hit the city. We're giving you a live shot of the messy drive tonight. Environment Canada has issued a snowfall warning for Toronto and beyond, and officials say staying home tonight, that might not be a bad idea.
Well, totals could pile up to as much as 25 centimeters at the airport. Pearson Airport tells us over 120 flights have been canceled so far.
You're watching Live at 5. Good evening, and thank you for joining us. I'm Lena Latafat.
And I'm Bakari Savage. We begin with the wintry weather tonight. What's being billed as the biggest winter storm of the season so far, it's well underway. And we could be left with 15 centimeters of snow or more before it ends tomorrow.
Yeah, this is a live shot tonight at the evening rush hour as this storm really picks up in intensity. The snow is expected to become heavy at times this evening, and it could be mixed with ice pellets late this evening or overnight.
Well, the city says that its crews are ready to respond to the storm as it's happening and with cleanup afterwards.
We're live now to CP24's Beatrice Faisman with the latest from a downtown works yard. The city has had a couple of days to prepare for this, Beatrice.
They knew this was coming, and now watch this. They're starting to pile out of the works yard here on Wellington Street, right in the heart of the downtown core. It's like they knew we were about to be live. So here come the plows. If you look that way down Wellington, the salters, they also just came out of the yard. And so finally there's enough snow accumulation on the ground that crews are beginning to get to work. First priority is going to be the Gardiner Expressway and the Don Valley Parkway. There's going to be a long evening of plowing ahead for these crews. Again, live pictures of them just coming out of the yard as we speak. So DVP, Gardiner, first priority. Second priority, the major arterial roads. So the main roads, like in the downtown core here, you've got Yonge Street, University Avenue, all of the main, King, Queen, Dundas, so on, so forth. That's number one priority. Of course, you're going to want to make sure that the streetcar tracks are also clear for all the commuters heading home. And then, of course, the side streets will be the next priority. All of the residential areas, they're going to be addressed by these crews. And so the reality is, according to the city worker who manages all of these crews, hundreds of them, 1,400 pieces of equipment, he says it's not going to be one round of plowing, not 2 rounds of plowing, but 3 rounds of plowing to get all the snow on the ground. And the reality is it's likely going to take several days to address this major winter wallop. As we're standing here live seeing the snow come down, things change very, very quickly. In the last hour alone, the experts told us 2 to 4 centimeters per hour between now and 8 o'clock tomorrow morning. So a lot of this white stuff to come. Here's what we heard from the city officials earlier this morning.
What this condition does is temporarily prohibit parking on all designated snow routes, enabling our crews to be able to efficiently clear the roads, making them safer and more accessible for everyone. It also keeps roads clear for emergency services to respond quickly to emergencies and prevents vehicles parked on the street from being buried underneath snow piles left behind by plows.
Our focus over the next few days will be salting and plowing. So the snow is anticipated to come around rush hour, and our first level of defense and attack will be to salt the arterials, the expressways, the collectors as soon as the snow starts to stick. Following that, we will then transition over to a full plowing exercise.
And here are the city crews. I mean, not all heroes wear capes. I feel like they need some theme music here. Dun 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 dun, as they all head out of all of these work yards all across the city to keep us as safe as possible. It's going to be a long night of work for these crews. Of course, if you see a plow, a salter out there, give yourself plenty of extra space. Don't crowd them either. Give them enough space to do their work. And this is just the beginning. You might remember a couple of years ago when we had that huge winter storm. It took days and days to get snow off the ground, onto dump sites as well. In fact, Vince Sferrazza from the city saying it might not be until next week, actually, that we start seeing these dump trucks in action. They've got designated dump sites to take all the snow. But guys, this is just the beginning for city crews, and a long night of work ahead, and a long night for all of us trying to get home and to and from where we need to go. Back to you.
Yeah, not excited about that commute, that's for sure. Beatrice, thanks so much for this. Now, the snow has been falling for a little while, and as Beatrice's shot demonstrated, it's already a slippery drive out there.
Yeah, CP24 CJ Lou's keeping an eye on the impact so far on the evening commute. CJ, tell us where you are and what you're seeing so far.
Well, Bakari, Lena, I'm here on Avenue Road, just south of St. Clair, and it's been snowing for about an hour now, and the roads are already in pretty bad shape. The snow has been coming down quite hard, and right now it is a snail's pace here on Avenue Road. And especially streets like this that have a hill are prone to having cars and buses stuck, but the TTC says they are prepared for the snow. They have been working all day and are taking proactive measures. One thing that they're doing is canceling any scheduled track work. For example, there was a closure on an early closure on line 1 between Bloor Young and Osgood stations that was supposed to close at 11. That's been canceled, so all crews can be hands on deck for any weather related problems. They're also spraying anti-icing over streetcar lines, over tracks, and making sure they're running the subways all night long so the snow doesn't build up. But despite all of this, you can expect some delays, even though there aren't any major ones being reported by the TTC right now. Earlier today, we spoke with the TTC spokesperson on how they will be handling the snow. Take a listen.
So we're trying to preserve as much service levels as possible. So we've already begun deploying anti-icing measures. We're spraying all our overhead streetcar networks to ensure that preventing the buildup of ice and make sure our streetcars are operating safely. And we're also running trains overnight across our system to ensure that snow doesn't build up on our rails.
And some areas will be worse than others. The TTC says there are 56 bus stops across the city where when it snows hard, it is prone to delays. So those bus stops, they have a QR code. If you get there, just scan the QR code. It'll let you know if it's still in operation or not. Wheel Transit is still operating, but of course, expect some delays. And we are still really early on to the evening commute, and the roads are looking quite bad. So as you're heading out tonight, just expect things to get worse. Visibility also not so great right now. So Lena, Bakari, it's only worse from here, especially by the morning after we have all that snow tonight.
Okay, reporting live along Avenue Road, CP24 CJ Lou. Thank you.
And let's check in with CP24's Phil Perkins now. He is near McCowan and Ellesmere in Scarborough, checking in on how residents have been preparing for this storm. Some people, as you noted, are looking forward to this, Phil.
They're great. That seems to be the majority of people I've spoken with, Lena and Bakari. One lady, she's been living in Canada for 47 years, but comes from Chile, and she says she loves this. She loves this kind of weather. She loves taking advantage of it with her grandkids and her dogs. Spoke to one gentleman who told me he kind of has a strategy. You get out there early, you shovel a bit, then you salt. Early might be like midnight, and then you have to do it again at 3 a.m. because this is going to be accumulating, as we've been talking about, 1 to 2 centimeters every hour. Probably going to be getting around 25 centimeters of snow. But we're here also at the gas station for a good reason. A lot of people here topping out before they get out on the commute tomorrow, if they do so have to go to work. Also top up the washer fluid. If you're watching this right now, you're just unsure about your washer fluid. Even if you're halfway, you can get through that very, very quickly, especially if you're driving on the highways. A lot of that de-icing stuff messes up your windshield in just a matter of seconds once you hit the highway itself. So make sure your washer fluid's topped up. tomorrow morning. We were talking about this over the weekend where we're getting that 15 centimeters of snow. But if you get your car tomorrow and it's covered in snow, remove all the snow. Not just on all the windows, obviously the hood, but also the roof as well. That's not just for yourself, but everybody else, because the worst thing ever is driving in behind somebody and the snow is just pelting you in the face. So again, here's some people we spoke with today about how they're preparing for the end result of this snowstorm.
Yes, I'm ready. I'm happy because I like snow.
You like the snow?
Yes,
Why?
because for me, no, summer or hot is not good for me. I don't feel well. I'm so happy with this weather.
I don't have a snowblower. I just shovel by.
So how do you do it? How do you do it not get hurt?
I go to a lot of sports, badminton and things like that, so I'm fit.
Nice.
And I usually put the back support because that is the one important.
Wow, so you got back support, you stay fit in the off season, that's how you do it?
Yeah. And I mean, during the summertime, I do the gardening and, cut grasses and things like that. So always I'm fit.
That was the best analogy. We always talk, we just crowned Super Bowl champions just a couple days ago. Championships are built in the offseason, guys. And right now it's the championship game for Canadians, the 25 centimeters. So you got to build that endurance. You got to build that lower back strength, core strength in the offseason, AKA the summer. That's what it's all about. So I'm taking notes. I'm staying in shape year round just for stuff like this because I know I have to shovel the driveway tomorrow morning. Just me and my 4-year-old. That's it.
You're going to make Reese help? You're going to make Reese help tomorrow.
He loves to do it. He loves to do it. He's all about it. We did the whole block after that 15 centimeter dump. He did the whole block by himself. It's great.
All right, CP24's Phil Perkins live in Scarborough. Thanks a lot, Phil.
Thanks, Phil. Well, the significant snowfall is causing cancellations at Pearson Airport.
The impact so far is greater on arrivals than departures. Pearson tells CP24 as of 4:30, over 120 flights coming in and out of the airport were canceled. A number of them have been delayed. Passengers are being reminded, as always, to check ahead on their flight status before heading to the airport.
Our goal ultimately is to make sure that tonight safely as many flights can depart and take off as possible. And that involves a massive fleet of people and also high-tech equipment. We have 160 pieces of snow clearing equipment here at the airport. We've upped the amount that we have this winter, and it's a good thing as well because we're dealing with a lot of snow this winter. We're dealing with the storm tonight. We just had 15 centimeters a few days ago and more snow on the weekend. So the snow is piling up here. But again, we've got crews, we staff up for events like this, and we're ready to handle it.
And for the latest on the snowstorm, just head to CP24.com.
You're watching Live at 5 on Toronto's Breaking News, CP24.
A Green Party leader, Mike Schreiner's the first candidate in the Ontario election to release a full platform. We're going to have the latest from the campaign trail just ahead. The latest now from the Ontario election campaign. Nightly polling by Nanos for CTV News shows the PC party continuing to hold its lead.
According to the latest numbers, the PCs have 44.5% support, a 12.5-point lead over the Liberals. Support for the Liberals sits at 32%. The New Democrats, they are at 16.5%, while the Greens are at 5.1%.
And the Nanos survey finds 4 in 10 respondents believe Doug Ford is the best choice for premier, followed by Bonnie Crombie at 26.8%, Mart Stiles at just under 15%, and Mike Schreiner at 5.5%. Election day in Ontario is February 27th. Advanced polls will be open from the 20th through the 22nd.
And to the campaign trail now, Liberal leader Bonnie Crombie, she campaigned in Toronto today, repeated her promise to fix the province's healthcare system.
I'm going to make a commitment right here, right now, to the fix for our healthcare system in Ontario. Number one, we invest in family doctors so that everyone across Ontario has a family doctor, and that, of course, will help alleviate the wait times and the pressure in our hospitals. Number two, we're going to invest in hiring more nurses and PSWs and paying them a living wage no matter where they work.
And Crombie was joined by ER Dr. Raghu Vinagopal at today's event, who sounded the alarm about the current state of care in hospitals.
My fellow Ontarians are waiting too long to see an ER doctor.
Many patients, and this is publicly accessible, you can look on the web yourself. You can see the waiting times to see an ER doctor are 6 to 12 hours. But some patients we know wait far longer. And once you've seen an emergency doctor and it's agreed upon that you need to be admitted to hospital, the average time in Ontario to get that bed is 24 hours. 24 hours for an elderly patient, 24 hours with someone with dementia, 24 hours with someone who's injured. And in my experience with my patients, they are waiting up to 5 days.
And Green Party leader Mike Schreiner unveiled his fully costed platform today. He's the first leader to do that, promising to build more homes, cut income taxes, and reinstate environmental protections.
Things have gotten much harder over the last 7 years with Doug Ford as premier. Housing unaffordable, a healthcare system on the verge of collapse, students being forced to learn in overcrowded classrooms with increasing levels of violence, an unprecedented attack on our farmland, our wetlands, and the green spaces that so many of us love to spend time with with our families and that protect us from unsafe weather events. It doesn't have to be like this. It doesn't have to be like this. We can have a fair Ontario.
NDP leader Marit Stiles has no public event scheduled today.
You're watching Live at 5, coming up after the break.
Canada's premiers have just wrapped up their meeting at the White House. We're going to hear from Doug Ford next.
A busy day in Washington for Canada's premiers as they took part in a joint mission to convince U.S. President Donald Trump to drop his tariff threats for good.
And Premier Doug Ford, chair of the Council of the Federation, and the premiers of Quebec and BC were at the White House this afternoon. They met with two senior Trump administration officials to try to drive home the message that tariffs would hurt both the American and Canadian economies.
We had a very constructive conversation. We appreciate the Trump administration facilitating this literally in the last minute. And we're grateful. We listened, we communicated, and we look forward to further conversations.
So that clip coming in just in the last 20 minutes, the premier describing this as a productive meeting. The premiers also met with U.S. lawmakers, business groups, and lobbyists today. It is the first time all 13 premiers have traveled to the American capital together.
It's 5:54, holding at 7 below, but feeling more like 14 below outside. This is Live at 5.
We continue to keep a close eye on the evening commute as we deal with another major winter storm. This is a live shot from one of our breaking news vehicles. You can see it's pretty sloppy out there. We'll be right back with more. A busy day in Washington for Canada's premiers as they took part in a joint mission to convince U.S. President Donald Trump to drop his tariff threats for good.
And Premier Doug Ford, chair of the Council of the Federation, and the premiers of Quebec and BC were at the White House this afternoon. They met with two senior Trump administration officials to try to drive home the message that tariffs would hurt both the American and Canadian economies.
We had a very constructive conversation. We appreciate the Trump administration facilitating this literally in the last minute. And we're grateful. We listened, we communicated, and we look forward to further conversations.
So that clip coming in just in the last 20 minutes, the premier describing this as a productive meeting. The premiers also met with U.S. lawmakers, business groups, and lobbyists today. It is the first time all 13 premiers have traveled to the American capital together.
It's 5:54, holding at 7 below, but feeling more like 14 below outside. This is Live at 5.
We continue to keep a close eye on the evening commute as we deal with another major winter storm. This is a live shot from one of our breaking news vehicles. You can see it's pretty sloppy out there. We'll be right back with more.
Okay, here's a live look as we continue to keep an eye on the snowfall. What's being billed as the biggest winter storm of the season so far. As you can see, it's well underway. we could be left with 15 centimeters of snow or more before it ends tomorrow. Again, this is a live look at the evening rush hour as the storm gradually picks up in intensity.
And let's get a check on the evening commute with our traffic specialist, Adjoa and Siayabwa now. I'm sure you're looking at a number of different problem areas, Adj.
You know what? It's a lot of things happening because of all the snow that continues to fall and accumulate, making for a tough drive for commuters trying to get home from work and school. So one thing that is a good thing on this snow-covered roadway, if you're on the 403 at least, and you're traveling on the eastbound side, we're seeing this conga line of snowplows making their way just past Burnhamthorpe, doing the work they need to make this road drivable for commuters. So stick behind them so they can do the work. That is creating a bit of a delay, bit of a hindrance to the drive. Was problems I was watching on the northbound 410. This was just past Courtney Park, and it is a collision involving a transport blocking the right lane and shoulder. Again, a lot of these roads are slick and slippery. Do not be deceived, even if you're a transport truck. You want to drive according to these winter road conditions, which equals driving slow. And spotted a situation. This is on the Don Valley Parkway northbound. Just moved over to the side, but it was the northbound DVP through Lawrence. Collision was in the right lane. Ended up getting over to the side. But again, if you are driving and you do have to drive, continue to reduce your speed and make sure that full lighting system is on. I'll send it back to you both.
Okay, Adj, thanks so much for this. Well, TDSB spokesperson Sherry Schwartz-Mouth says the board will not make a decision about whether to close schools and cancel classes until early tomorrow morning.
There'll be consultation with the Catholic board with whom we share transportation, and we'll look at the weather, obviously, and we will consult with meteorological reports. So it's a big decision to close schools. It's not an easy decision. It impacts the city. It impacts parents. It impacts everybody's ability to get to work and to make arrangements. So we will make the decision at 5:30 in the morning, as we do with all these extreme weather events.
Thank you for watching. CTV News at 6 is next.